here has heard of quantum superposition? I'm sure many of you have. If you're anything like me, the first thing you think of is that catboy from Hellsing Ultimate. Others might think of a certain box where a certain tabby might be alive or dead at the same time. The concept is that in a quantum state, certain elements exist in more than one state, but the state it becomes is dependent upon observation. Please don't click off the video yet, I'm going somewhere with this. This is called a paradox. You know what else has paradoxes? Time. And time travel is the central point of this story. The reason I told you about quantum superposition though is because I believe time can work the same. What I mean by this has to do with butterfly effects. Goku is reliving the same thing all over again, but simply because he's reliving it and possesses knowledge about what will happen, that thing will no longer happen. So in a way, it's the inverse of Schrodinger's paradox. Simply because Goku exists in the past now, the future he once had will never be achieved. Only something similar can be achieved if he works hard with it. But then again, even that might be out of his hands. After all, this is a big universe with a big temporal tide that ebbs and flows. Who's to say Goku is the only one surfing those waves of time? Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Goku was in Mount Paozu once again. Having kept Gohan by his side the whole time, he did not allow little Gohan to run off and get into trouble. Goku was pleased to be able to hold his little boy in his arms again, but the sad truth was that Goku likely would never be able to get Gohan to reach the strength he once had. After all, the little fella was terrified of everything and Chi-Chi babied him too much. Goku would never be able to just abandon him in the woods like he wanted to. Wait, that came out bad. Goku didn't want to abandon him in the woods, he needed to abandon him. See? This is why Goku knew Chi-Chi would never let him do it. He would just have to hope that Gohan would grow out of it. Maybe when Cell appeared, Goku could take him into the time chamber and just beat the wussy out of him. But until such a time as he could do that, Gohan was just gonna keep being a baby about everything. That being said, today was an important day for Goku. This was the day when everything changed. This was the day where Raditz appeared on Earth. Goku would go to the house of Roshi, and there he'd be attacked by Raditz. Of course, by this time, Goku already had a power level of about 24,000, so there was probably nothing Raditz could do to him that Goku couldn't handle. But now that there were no Dragon Balls anymore, how would he get Nappa and Vegeta to visit Earth? Piccolo's death had thrown so much off balance. At this point in time, Goku had already remembered how to use instant transmission, and he was slightly of the mind to believe that he should just go to Namek and use the Dragon Balls to revive Kami alone. Then, at least they'd have the Dragon Balls. Either that or kidnap Dende and force him to be the next Guardian. No, that wouldn't work. Dende needed to experience Frieza and the friendship of Gohan to do that, and it didn't seem like that was in the cards either. At this point, Goku was on damage control. At least this time he had his grandfather here to help him out. Grandpa Gohan every so often would sneak off with little Gohan by his side and explain to him the importance of martial arts. They were more than just a tool for fighting, they were an art. They were culture, and because of the way he approached it, Chi-Chi allowed it. But given that, there was not much that Grandpa Gohan could do to change Gohan's disposition. Wow, he really is nothing like you, Grandpa had told Goku in regards to the little fella who seemed to cry at everything. He certainly is smart though. Goku said that he feared if Gohan didn't find his inner strength that he would never be able to help him save the very universe. Gohan told Goku though that his grandson already found his inner strength. His heart was his strength, as was his intelligence. All he needed to find now was his fighting spirit. Grandpa Gohan told Goku that he would find it in time and to just be patient and stop worrying about the future. That was what Goku was trying to do, but today was different and Chi-Chi knew it. Goku decided that whatever happened, he would find a way to deal with it. And so Goku took little baby Gohan to the Kame house and introduced him to his friends. And just as predicted, Raditz did show up. Just as before, Krillin tried to get in the way and instead was batted away by a mere swing of Raditz's tail. Raditz attempted to take up Gohan for himself. Half expecting him to splat him all over the walls, Goku struck out with a fist. But to Goku's surprise, Raditz lifted his hand and caught it. The moment he did so, there was a huge expenditure of energy that almost seemed to dwarf that of Goku's. What? How? Raditz put a fist into Goku's stomach, putting Goku into the ground. Not as easy as you thought, eh, Kakarot? Raditz began to rise into the air. If you want your son back, come and take him. Raditz flew off. Bulma ran to Goku, as did Roshi. What the heck happened, Goku? Didn't you say Raditz was only supposed to be at a power level of 1000? Roshi asked. By this time, Goku had spilled the beans to everyone, including Chi-Chi. Despite that, Chi-Chi still refused to let Goku drop Gohan in the woods, and Goku couldn't blame her for it. But now something was wrong. Goku sat up. Something is severely wrong here, guys. That power level was way beyond mine, at least 8 times. The others were shocked. 8 times. Goku managed to stand. Yeah, maybe more. He knew how to suppress his ki as well. It could have been even more, I'm not sure. Goku rose up into the air. Sorry guys, but I gotta go get Gohan back. I'll see you later. If I'm still alive, that is. Goku then flew off. As he rushed through the air, thoughts kept going through his mind. How could Raditz have gotten this strong? Is it simply because I killed Piccolo? What's happening? Goku landed near the crash site. Gohan was locked away inside of the space pod Raditz arrived in. As he arrived, he found Raditz, who was standing there. Well, well, well. So you did decide to show up, Goku. Give me back my son, Raditz. Raditz smiled. So it's true then. Huh? Goku was confused. What's true? Raditz laughed. Don't play stupid, Kakarot. You just said my name, and I never told you what it was. It's because he remembers, a deeper voice said from behind. Goku turned around, and there he saw Vegeta and Nappa. Goku was shocked. Vegeta, what are you doing here so early? Vegeta said, finishing Goku's sentence. How did you know I was early, Kakarot? Unless you've seen this before, they both said in unison. Wait, does that mean you remember me, Vegeta? Vegeta nodded. I remember a lot of things. What have you been doing then? Goku asked, with joy clear in his heart. I've been conquering planets for Frieza. What do you think? Goku was shocked. Wait, you've been... Gotta preserve the timeline, Kakarot. Trust me, I'm not big on it either, but some things have to happen. I've ended a lot of lives, Goku, and if I let all those lives continue to exist, it would inevitably alter the future. That could be the end of everything. Vegeta looked off to the skies. Only now do I realize the meaning behind Lord Beerus' job. Goku looked around. Wait, but that means that Raditz and Nappa both know? Vegeta smiled. I took a couple liberties with this timeline, Kakarot. Goku stood there. How strong are you now? He asked. Vegeta shook his head. I'm not sure. We haven't been using our full power in front of our scouters. If you notice, we're not even wearing them right now. We don't want Frieza to know how strong we've gotten. Not when we're this close to finally attaining Super Saiyan again. Goku understood. So then we're still going after Frieza. Vegeta scoffed. Of course we are. If we don't, the universe ends. A lot of things have to happen for everything to play out right. Vegeta stepped closer to Goku, including this. He put a fist into Goku's stomach. Goku gasped. He hit his knees and sat there. Vegeta, what are you doing? Vegeta knelt down. Don't you remember what was supposed to happen here? You were supposed to meet with King Kai. I don't think you're going to be able to do this, not without first meeting your doom. He kicked Goku on his back. He knelt down over him. I sometimes enjoy watching you suffer, and I must admit that I do feel a certain joy once more being superior to you in every way. But do know that I take no pleasure in doing this. Vegeta then held out 2 fingers and faced them down at Goku. They glowed. He then spoke. Don't worry, Kakarot. I'll put your son back on course. He'll be safe, and by the time you return, he'll be strong. Stronger than ever. And with that, Vegeta fired. He then looked back at Nappa. Nappa, mark it, 8,760 hours. What's the significance of that number, Vegeta? It's 1 standard Earth year. I know you're denser than Kachin, Nappa, but please, try to keep up. Vegeta walked over to the pod to see the mortified Gohan hiding in the corner. He reached in and lifted him up by the nape of his neck. He turned around and walked up the hill to show him the body of Goku. Yes, your father's dead, but he won't be for long. Gohan looked to Vegeta with tears in his eyes. Your father will be revived, so don't worry. While he may be dead, he won't stay that way. You may wish you were dead, though. Goku then awakened in the other world. There he'd be met by King Yama, who declared that Goku could keep his body. Goku immediately made it out on a snake way and began making his way to King Kai's planet. He understood why Vegeta had to do that, but he was still a bit scared for Gohan. There was no way that Vegeta would let Gohan die, though. He was just afraid of what Vegeta might turn Gohan into. Goku would make it to Snake Way and would begin training with King Kai. He was mostly just going through the motions, but he did manage to grow stronger, and this was partly because he was abusing his Zenkai. Back on Earth, Vegeta was doing the same thing to Gohan. He knew Gohan was a Saiyan, so he was giving him the what for. This was torture to little Gohan, but Vegeta was trying to desensitize him to pain, trying to unlock that rage he had built up. As Gohan skid across the ground, Vegeta walked over. "You half-earthling trash! You're blessed with the genes of the proud Saiyan race, and you dare disgrace us with your tender-footed nature? Get up and show me what you got, or should I just give up and send you to hell to be with your father?" Gohan's eyes began to light up in rage, and for a moment, Vegeta thought he saw a spark of gold in his hair. "That's good. Keep pushing. Feel that tingle down your spine, that flame rising from your stomach, your entire body tingling, your entire being shaking. Don't suppress it. Command it. Force it. Hate me. Hate me and kill me like I killed your father." With a roar, Gohan's hair stood and turned golden as he turned around and rushed Vegeta. His strikes hit like a freight train. Vegeta went flying. "Good. Now punish me. Remind me of who I once was and who I will be again." In the distance, the small Saiyan strode closer, giving off every intent to murder Vegeta. This is just as he desired. While this was going on, Vegeta introduced himself to Bulma for the first time. He commanded her to begin work on building a time machine. When Bulma said she wasn't sure that she could, he demanded it anyway, telling her it was possible, and so she started work. After a year's time had passed, Vegeta would send Raditz to planet Cereal where he would find the Dragon Balls. He had two reasons for sending Raditz. First of all, he knew that planet Cereal only had 2 Dragon Balls, with one of them having a definite location and the other not being too hard to find. Secondly, he needed to seed Frieza's interest in the Dragon Balls, which would ultimately lead Frieza to Namek. Once Raditz had found them, Raditz used the wish to bring Goku back to life. Goku would use instant transmission to teleport home. He teleported straight to Vegeta. "Ah, Kakarot, I assumed you'd be longer. I can never trust Raditz to even tie his shoes correctly." "Where's Gohan?" Goku demanded. Vegeta pointed behind him. Goku walked over in that direction to see his son, his hair having been trimmed a bit to be more close to what he had during the Cell games, likely to reduce how much hair he had to pull. Goku approached the boy. Gohan looked up. He took a bite out of something freshly killed, carcass roasted over an open flame. The look in his eye was cold. Goku looked back at Vegeta. "What have you done to him?" Vegeta looked back. "I made him strong." "You've made him a killer," Goku said as he stepped closer. Vegeta didn't budge. "I made him into what he should have been. Don't worry, he's still got that tenderness about him. He's just hiding it." Goku turned around and looked back at Gohan, who was still eating his meat, face expressionless, yet tears falling down his cheeks. Gohan had been taught over the past year that the only emotion to display was rage, to take fighting seriously. Despite hiding it, he was so happy to see his father that he could hardly hold back the tears. Vegeta looked back. "Gohan!" The boy wiped his eyes and looked over. "Yes, Prince Vegeta?" Vegeta looked to Goku and then back to Gohan. "Be joyful and cry. Hug your father, that's an order." Suddenly, Gohan broke down into tears and ran to Goku. Goku picked him up. "I'm so sorry, Gohan. That must have been hell." Vegeta sat there eating something as well. "Hell? Yeah, it was hell. We've all had to taste it to get this far. Tell me, Kakarot, have you managed to awaken it yet?" Goku looked down. "Super Saiyan? Yeah, I awakened it last month." Vegeta nodded. "So did I. Raditz and Nappa are having issues finding the motivation. I'm planning to send them to train on the most inhospitable planet I can think of. A planet where exists a monster." "Where could you send them where they'd be able to awaken Super Saiyan?" Vegeta scoffed. "Do I really need to say it? I'm sending them to Vampa. If it's possible that those two can overcome the Super Saiyan barrier, then it will happen there." "They'll die," Goku said. Vegeta nodded. "They were supposed to die a long time ago. It's time for them to prove they were worthy of living." They would then send Nappa and Raditz away to Vampa, where they would meet up with Paragus and Broly. While there, they managed to survive most of the creatures on the planet, but the moment Paragus knew that Vegeta had sent Nappa and Raditz, they became nothing more than training fodder for Broly. Paragus might have been nothing to them, but Broly was not so. He was casually stronger than Nappa and Raditz put together. "Frankly, I'm jealous," Vegeta said in regards to their training. "We should be down there as well, but we have to keep the timeline at least. We have but about a month to get to Namek and dispose of Frieza." "At this strength, Frieza will be nothing to us," Goku said. "That may be true, but the future still must be set into place. That is, if this universe is to survive." A month later, they picked up Raditz and Nappa. By this time, the both of them had achieved Super Saiyan, and their strength had even been bolstered above Goku and Vegeta's. Vegeta warned them not to get a big head, not while they still had a mission to deal with. Heading to Namek, they began to prod Frieza and his men, not displaying their true power until he had called for the Ginyu Force. Once he had, that was when all heck broke loose. Every member of the Force was killed by Vegeta save Captain Ginyu, who he turned into a frog. It was then that they all surrounded Frieza. Frieza, having gone straight into his final form, stood there surrounded. Standing in a circle around him was Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, and Gohan. Using the Namekian Dragon Balls, they wished everyone to Earth to save the Saiyans and Frieza. From there, Vegeta stepped forward. "This is Judgment Day, Frieza. 25 years ago, you destroyed planet Vegeta because you were afraid of the Super Saiyan. And now, 5 of which you feared now stand before you. Die." He raised his hand and utterly evaporated Frieza in one shot. They then returned to Earth. Once there, Vegeta would go about attempting to seduce Bulma. There were many reasons for this that he explained to Goku. There was not only the future to think about in regards to the birth of Trunks, but there was also the human aspect to it. "Let me ask you something, Kakarot. Do I seem like the kind of guy who gives a damn about the universe?" Goku sat there. "A part of me would like to believe you do." Vegeta scoffed. "Then a part of you is wrong. No, I don't care about this universe at all. I only care about my universe." Goku listened intently. "I spent my youth fighting, killing, destroying worlds, conquering everything. I slowly came to realize the truth. The universe is a very big place. Frieza may constantly desire to conquer planets and add them to his empire, but what good is an empire when you'll never visit it? What good is owning a planet whose name you'll never know? Maybe that's what he wants, and to each their own. But to me, the only conquest I need, the only empire I need in this world is Bulma, Trunks, and Bulla." Goku smiled. "I've never heard you be so open with your heart, Vegeta." The Saiyan Prince hissed and looked away. "Don't make this any weirder than it has to be." "What changed in you, Vegeta?" Goku asked. "Even when we were both training under Whis, you didn't act like this." Vegeta looked up at the stars as he and Goku sat a ways off from Raditz, Nappa, and Gohan, all of whom were singing some song about a baby shark. Raditz and Nappa could have been drunk, or perhaps their infantile minds were slowly acclimating to Gohan's style of entertainment. "The truth is, Kakarot, when I was reborn into this timeline all over again, I lost everything I once cherished, and now, sitting before me is the chance to reclaim it. I don't care if I seem evil. I don't care if I seem cruel. I don't care if I seem weak, or like I'm showing the insides of my heart. All I want is to have back what I lost, and there's no number of people I wouldn't kill, no amount of warlords I wouldn't fight, no amount of times I'd have to work myself to death and get revived. There's no length I wouldn't go to just to have them back." Goku smiled. "I always knew there was goodness in your heart, Vegeta. Even back when you came to Earth all those years ago. When you killed Piccolo and Yamcha and Tien, when Chiaotzu died because of you. Even then, I knew you had goodness in you. I couldn't have chosen a better rival." "What about the green one?" Vegeta asked. He looked over. "Wasn't he your rival before me?" "Piccolo? He was, but I had to kill him." "Why not bring him back to life?" Vegeta asked. "Because he's got too much of his father in him. He'll destroy everything." "Who are you and what happened to Kakarot? It's not like you to give up on people. If he was turned good once, he can be turned good again. There's no way he can resist the charms of Gohan. And now that I've made Gohan strong, he should be able to handle him." Goku thought about it. "I'm not sure if it'll work." "Let me ask you something, Kakarot. Are you content living in a world that's incomplete? Are you content with living in a universe where your universe doesn't exist? Be selfish for once. If you want Piccolo back, then you bring back Piccolo. If you want your father and mother back, then you bring them back. You're getting a second chance, Goku. Screw the timeline. I'm only following it because it safeguards my family. Go after what you want." Vegeta looked back. "Dende's Dragon Balls are strong. They can fulfill any wish you ask of them. All you have to do is ask." Goku thought seriously about this. After this, he traveled to the lookout where he found Dende. "I was wondering if you could help me out, Dende. Do you have the Dragon Balls?" Dende nodded. "What do you want to use them for?" "I have some wishes I need to make," Goku said. Universe 7 was never the same again. Goku would proceed to use his wishes to first bring back Piccolo. Second, he wished that planet Vegeta would be restored and moved to the solar system near Earth. And lastly, he wished that every Saiyan killed by Frieza all those years ago be revived on the new planet, including his own mother, Jine, and his father, Bardock. With Vegeta at the helm, he would go about attempting to reform the Saiyans. He came to realize that while the Saiyans surely loved to fight, their true evil selves had vanished long ago. They were merely tools of Frieza, and they had potential to become more. Think of it like a child with ADHD. That's how the Saiyans worked. They had a lot of energy, but nowhere to put it. Goku and Vegeta would offer constructive ways to use their newfound life, the Galactic Patrol. Taking a page out of Kabba's description of Saiyans, Goku and Vegeta knew that Saiyans could be constructive as opposed to destructive. Of course, there was always going to be a rogue warlord, but rarely did this ever cause enough of an issue that Goku and Vegeta couldn't overcome them. King Vegeta III was opposed to these new changes, but he didn't have much of a say anymore. He was alive, and if he wished to stay that way, he would submit to his son, the prince. King Vegeta was both scorned and proud at the same time, knowing that his son could become the legendary Super Saiyan. It might take some time for Vegeta to teach his father the things he had learned, but they had all the time in the world. Knowing that the androids would soon awaken, Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Gohan, and now their father, Bardock, would travel back to Vampa. There, the sight of Vegeta rocked Paragus to his core. He would command his son Broly to attack them, and thus the battle was on. This was the most exciting fight the Saiyans had ever faced, the sheer hopelessness against such a powerful foe. Through their constant struggles against Broly and his ever-increasing power, they knew that they couldn't achieve victory. Not at this rate, but the rate at which they had been growing was astounding. Bardock was even quicker to pick up Super Saiyan than Goku had been, and it didn't take long for the group to attain Super Saiyan 2. Surviving the onslaught of the legend himself, they would return to Earth, where Bulma now carried in her arms a little Saiyan with periwinkle-colored hair. She was happy to announce the completion of her time machine. Vegeta would take it into the future where he'd get the heart medicine. As it turned out, the future in this world was without much issue at all. It did create a separate timeline, but it hardly mattered because in this world everyone but Goku was still alive, and they had themselves managed to destroy the androids. Vegeta would get the heart medicine and return to the present with it, where he would then give it to Goku, who would begin taking it immediately to keep him from contracting the heart virus. They then began the awakening of the androids. As per Goku and Vegeta's orders, they decided to try and go along with what they had previously learned about them, including the switch that could deactivate them. What they needed to do was allow Krillin to hold the switch. They knew Krillin wouldn't use it the moment he saw 18, so they let him have it. They also kept playing cat and mouse with the androids until present Cell awakened and began the hunt for them. With the Dragon Balls at the ready, they allowed Cell to do whatever he wanted through the world to develop his power enough to take the androids. He would swallow up number 17, and after refusing to deactivate Android 18, she too was absorbed by Cell, causing him to reach his perfect form. However, with every Saiyan already having achieved Super Saiyan 2, they just jumped the bio-android and ended him. Now, it would be at about this time that Goku would perish and go to Otherworld to train more, but Goku already had a way to train himself on Earth, so he knew that nothing really good came of him remaining dead. So he continued with his training on Earth for the next few years. It was during this time that Goten would be born. By this time, however, Broly was becoming accustomed to their presence, so he was also becoming less aggressive toward them and more curious, which was fine too. Paragus, after witnessing their ever-increasing power, began to also come around. It was here that Vegeta explained to Paragus the truth. "Paragus, my father was terrified of your son, which is why he sent you away. It could have been something to do with my pride, but the truth is, your son, Broly, is the next legendary Super Saiyan. I may be a Super Saiyan, but your son is a mutant among us. His power goes beyond anything I've ever seen. His potential is greater than any Saiyan I know. A lot has changed, Paragus, and the Saiyan people have had to adapt to that. We're a different kind now. Every day, more and more Saiyans join up with the Galactic Patrol." The more they hung around each other, the more Paragus came around and let go of vengeance. After all, as strong as Broly was, it was clear he had no control, and without that, there was no way he could kill a group of Saiyans who could teleport anywhere they wanted with instant transmission. That being said, they were now attempting to help Paragus and Broly, and for the first time in a long time, Broly seemed happy. Maybe something snapped in him, or maybe he was just mellowing out because of his old age, but it became harder and harder for him to stay upset, especially considering how kind the prince truly turned out to be. In the past, kindness was a weakness, and that's how most of Saiyan society had been raised, but there were glaring flaws in this logic that the Super Saiyan transformation had laid bare. Only kind Saiyans could achieve this form, which explained why Broly seemed so soft-hearted, despite the demented anger he so often displayed. "Fine, I'll let go of the grudge, but there's gonna be a cost." "What's that?" Vegeta asked. "I demand that you teach Broly how to turn into a Super Saiyan." Goku and Vegeta both froze at hearing that. Super Saiyan?" Paragus nodded. "Yeah, make his hair turn gold too." Goku and Vegeta looked at each other. "I don't think he's ready for that," Goku said. "Then make him ready. That's the only way I can drop my grudge. If you don't do it, then get off this planet and never return." Vegeta looked at Goku, who nodded. It shouldn't be that hard to teach it to him. He has everything down. He just needs to learn control. Vegeta nodded. Fine, we'll teach him Super Saiyan, but it'll take some time. Paragus nodded. So long as his hair turns gold like yours, I'm fine, no matter how long it takes. And so they began to teach Broly how to control his anger. Broly would slowly manage to handle it. They started with minor annoyances during meditation that would almost immediately set him off, but slowly he did begin making progress, until he could enter his wrathful state without losing his mind. From there, Vegeta said he believed that Broly was ready for the transformation. Goku would begin to teach him how to access his anger at will. You gotta find that feeling in your back. Focus on a memory that made your back tingle. What hurt you the most? Broly thought for a moment. Bah. Goku was confused. Bah? Broly nodded. It was my first friend. Dad shot its ear off. Broly would clutch at the fur pelt around his waist. This is Ba's ear. Goku smiled. Then think about how it made you feel. Relive that memory. Maintain control, but take that rage that you felt, that anger, that burning in your spine. Treat it like a gas leak traveling up your spine. Then, with your willpower, throw a match into it. Let it explode, up and out. Broly growled and groaned. As he sat there, his energy began spiking and arcing from his body. The very wind fled from him. It was as if the universe itself were trying to isolate him. For a moment, his eyes opened to the amber glow. All the Saiyans began to pull back a bit. Control it, Broly! Control! Suddenly, there was an explosion of ki as Broly's hair stood up and turned golden. He let out a roar that shook the skies. Broly, Goku called out. Control it! Don't give in! Broly stood there for a moment and looked at the sky. Remembering Ba, remembering Goku and Vegeta, remembering his father. Broly had experienced so many new things since these Saiyans started visiting all those years ago, and now his true power was awakening. It was so much. He felt the seed of insanity in his mind, a crossroads. On one hand, he could give in to primal rage, lose himself to anger, and eventually have his mind corrupted by schizophrenia and cruelty, demanding a blood sacrifice like some angry god. Or he could refuse it and remember the love he had and still has. Choosing love, Broly managed to control himself. In celebration, they would finally feel like they could bring him to Earth. There, along with Paragus, they would all celebrate with a dinner. Peace ruled over the world, and eventually the time came where Dabura and Babidi would show up. Goku knew that things would get bad, and people would suffer, and the world would begin to come to an end. They knew it had to happen if Buu was to be recruited, so they let it all play out. They would return to Vampa, where Goku and the others would do the only thing they could, train. Bardock would spar with Broly privately. It was through this sparring session that Bardock discovered the true power of the Saiyan genealogy, as well as what could be accomplished if they trained. Goku by this time had managed to unlock Super Saiyan 3, and as Buu went on a rampage across Earth, they waited for Mr. Saturn to befriend him, and then for the formation of Super Buu. Goku and Vegeta would return to Earth and confront him. Are you sure about this, Kakarot? I have nightmares about that little freak. Goku nodded. It's gotta happen. And so they entered Buu's body, allowing him to absorb them. While inside, they found Fat Buu, cut him free, and then escaped with him. Doing so caused Super Buu to transform into Kid Buu. By this time, Gohan had already rescued Dende and gathered the Dragon Balls, taking them to a safe location. Kid Buu would attempt to destroy the world, which he would do. Goku and Vegeta would lead him back to Vampa, and they'd proceed to fight him there. They assumed it would be easy, especially with everyone ganging up on him, but they were surprised to find that Kid Buu was capable of a lot more than he seemed. Whether he had limit broken or simply gotten serious, he started to body everyone, including Broly in his Super Saiyan state. What's going on here, Kakarot? Vegeta demanded. Buu was never this strong. Goku tried to think about it. Crap, I know what it is. Well, spit it out already, Vegeta demanded. Goku then began to explain. The Grand Supreme Kai. You remember how ridiculously strong that guy used to be? And how strong Oob is now? Vegeta nodded. He powered you all the way back up to Ultra Instinct, I remember. Goku nodded. Vegeta, Oob is nothing more than Buu in a weaker vessel. Realization then hit him like a dump truck. You mean Majin Buu was always stronger than Jiren? Then how'd we beat him last time? Goku shook his head. Best I can think of is a fluke. Maybe he didn't know how to use that power at that time and we caused him to limit break. Well, we better figure out something fast, Kakarot, or the universe is finished. Broly would continue fighting against Buu. Out of all of them, he was really the only one who could handle it. Powering up to his full power state, Broly's emerald-colored hair shined brilliantly in the sunlight. He was a bit more, even with this form. Two monsters of brutality attempting to steamroll each other, but even then, Buu held the edge. It was then that Bardock looked to Vegeta. Prince Vegeta, Do you still know how to make a power ball? Vegeta looked over. What? Why? Bardock pointed at Broly. Look! Vegeta looked over at Broly and saw that tucked under his belt, he possessed a fuzzy emerald-colored tail. When did that get there again? Bardock called out once more. Can you make the ball? Vegeta cursed under his breath as he readied a blast in his hand. He threw it up into the air. Burst open and mix. It suddenly burst open to display a cloud of Blutz waves in the air. Bardock looked up at it. Let's hope he can do it. Broly looked up at the power ball and suddenly began to transform. He let out a roar as his energy soared. Even Boo was pushed back by the blast of air. Broly turned into a legendary great ape. He began to go out of control. A fine mess you put us in, Bardock. Now we have 2 maniacs to deal with. Bardock at this time was also paying attention to the makeshift moon. As the waves washed over him, he too began to grow in size, becoming a great ape himself. Damn it, is everyone just gonna lose control? Vegeta knelt over. I think I'm gonna throw up. No, look, Goku called out. Bardock turned around. Broly! The massive form called to the green beast before it. Follow my lead. Bardock's great golden ape let out a sigh and then was enveloped in light. Slowly his form faded, but he didn't return to base form. What is that? Vegeta demanded until suddenly a foggy memory hit him. That, Goku said, is Super Saiyan 4. Broly, despite Bardock's ascension to this new form, was still rampaging. It was then that Bardock found the old severed ear that Broly had lost upon transforming. He grabbed it and flew up into the air. Broly, remember this! Don't forget your friend, he still lives on this planet. Don't destroy it. Broly saw the pelt and took it. However, before he could continue admiring the pelt, Boo began to attack, enraging Broly again. Bardock looked down. Vegeta, you gotta help Broly. Goku, on me. Goku powered up to Super Saiyan 3 and rushed in to help his father against Boo. Vegeta flew to Broly. Remember, Broly, don't forget about your father. Your father's waiting for you to come back. He'd be very upset to see you this way. Control yourself. He gave Broly the pelt again. Broly looked at it, and it seemed like he began to come around. Vegeta. Suddenly, Broly also began to glow. He reverted to a humanoid form, but this time he wasn't in base or even in the legendary Super Saiyan state. He was in Super Saiyan 4 as well. He looked at Vegeta and offered a nod before turning to Boo. He let his wrath boil through him. He rushed forward, the very presence of his power enough to shake the cosmos. He struck against Boo, who was surprised by this power. The two continued to trade blows, with Broly having a definite edge, but Goku knew that there was a real possibility that Boo could have even more power stored in his body. Broly, his regenerating can tank all of your attacks. You need to destroy him in one go. I need you to make the biggest, strongest ki blast you can and throw it at him. But control it, Vegeta shouted. Don't destroy the universe by accident. Broly gave a nod. He then pulled back and began to form an Omega Blaster over his head, a massive green orb of energy. He packed it full of as much power as he could and then threw it at Boo. Boo tried to catch it, but Broly kept pushing. Slowly, Broly was being pushed back. Boo's found his second wind, Bardock shouted as he rocketed off to help the legendary Super Saiyan. Goku and Vegeta also joined in. All of them came to the aid of Broly, and with one final push began to knock Boo back. Goku smiled and offered a 2-fingered salute. I'll see you around, Boo. Next time, come back as a good guy. Suddenly, Boo was overtaken in the blast and melted to nothing. The blast, now leaving a crater in its wake, kept going. Pull it up, Broly, Vegeta shouted. Broly strained and stressed, slowly pulling the ball up into space. Now let it dissipate, don't let it explode, Goku said. The blast slowly began to fizzle away. And with that, the battle was over. The Saiyans, all tired, fell to the ground and dropped out of their forms. Elsewhere, Bulma would use the Dragon Balls to restore the Earth and all of its people, and cause them to forget Boo. They then relinquished Majin Buu's good half to Mr. Satan, who promised to keep him under control. The group would all celebrate with a cookout and a good rest, but as they were all preparing to sleep, they were unaware of something very strong and very dangerous waking up. Beerus the Destroyer opened his eyes. And that's where I'm gonna call it for now. I can't tell you how much I'm loving making this series. Please start asking for more Dragon Ball What Ifs. So far, besides Naruto, this is my favorite anime series. I hope you're loving it as much as I am. Let us know in the comments what you think about it. Do you want to see more videos like this? Tell us about it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when new videos like this one launch. Seriously, I have at the very least one more part of this to tell, possibly two. If you want to know when those release, be sure to sub and ring. And while you're at it, check out these other videos on the screen. I bet you'll love those too. Until next time, peace out.